Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Life's a Stitch, my podcast where I share with you all my yarny and textile exploits. I will share knitting and crochet, sewing, sometimes dyeing, and maybe a little bit of spinning if I've got the time. But it's going to be mainly knitting, I think. I've got lots of things to share for you today. So let's get on with it. So, as I welcome you back, thank you so much for everybody who gave me such lovely support, encouraging words, and just generally showed a lot of love. Thank you so much. I'm now into my second podcast, so let's hope I can keep the ball rolling. To all not returning viewers, but new viewers, if you're new here and you've just come across me, thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with me. This is only episode 2, so we can expect some imperfections. And as I say, to my returning viewers, thank you again. I do have quite a bit to share with you today, which is really good because I didn't think I'd have much, but it's surprising what you can do in a couple of weeks, isn't it? And time is going by so very quickly, it's a bit scary. We're already in the middle of February. Today is a special day for me because I've had Monday and Tuesday off of work because today is my birthday. Yay! Happy birthday to me. So I love having birthdays. I think they're so important, and I think you should always celebrate the day that you were born. You know, to me, I can't understand why you wouldn't do that. Not for being big-headed or to say I'm the best thing since sliced bread, but you made a difference to somebody for whatever reason. Anyway, today's my birthday, and I've already got a nice red velvet cake that my mum made. I've got some beautiful pancakes that I'm going to do. And I have got this lovely steak recipe that I got from Nigel Slater. I tell you, I cannot wait. So as soon as I've done with this, I'm off. Anyway, it's nice to have your company and to share my goodies with you. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to show you is what I'm wearing, which is, I call this my Pseudo Mitten Slide shawl, and it's by Stephen West. I mean, it doesn't look anything like the original pattern, but there is a bit of a story to that. I started this a year ago, in fact over a year ago, and when I got back from my long stint in Grenada, I decided that I have to finish this shawl. Now, bearing in mind it has about how many hundreds of stitches, I really could not be bothered to go back, count all the stitches and find in the pattern exactly where I was. So I decided to finish it on my own terms. So I just finished it off with a few rows of garter stitch. And my answer to everything, when in doubt, picot. So I finished it with a picot edge. And it's come out really well. I think it's quite pretty. It's held together with a shawl pin that I got from Textile Gardens. And I really like it. It's done in a fingering weight yarn, I think. Yeah. And the yarn is actually by Amy of the Stranded Dye Works in the colour Nougat. I don't know if she does it any longer, but it's really lovely. I love those shades of pink that are mottled and meld in together. And it also has some of my own hand dyed yarn in there, but you wouldn't know because it's only a few rows and it's very close to Amy's. So mainly it is Amy's yarn that's made up of this. I just wanted to show you what the original looked like. if I can find it, but I can't find the pattern book, which of course is, you know, par for the course, isn't it? You can never find anything when you want it. Anyway, this is supposed to be the Knit and Slide by Stephen West, but I have called it the Pseudo Knit and Slide because it's only half of his and the rest is mine. Well, the edging bit is mine. So that's that. What else do I have to show you? Oh, I made a hat because I needed a black hat. And although I don't do black very often, I do think you need some staple colours in your wardrobe. So I made this from the Enrique Hat Pattern by Sarah Young, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And it's really easy. I mean, you could do it in your sleep. It's basically just garter stitch. And I wanted a black hat, as I said, but I didn't have the full thing, or didn't have all the yarn. So I decided to finish it off with a big patch of red on top. And looking at it now, honestly, it looks huge. This could actually be a tea cozy, or it could fit an elephant's head. It's huge, but it seems to fit my head quite well. And I don't have a big head, really. So I'll put it on for you. I know this is going to create hat head, so I think I'm just going to leave it on when I put it on, just to show you what it's like. Glasses are in the way. And so this is it. This is my Enrique hat by Sarah Young. Very easy. It's quite slouchy at the back, but I think it's just slouchy enough. It doesn't hang down too much. I'll just show you what the back's like. So I think that's quite a dramatic finish to the hat, and I'm very pleased with it. I love it. So it keeps my ears warm, especially in the weather we've just had. I mean, that cold snap was a little bit special, wasn't it? We don't really need to have a cold snap like that again, but just in case, I've got a nice snug hat to wear. And as I say, that's the Enrique, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. What else have I got? The other thing I have, is some sewing, wrecking the joint there. I've made a couple of project bags. So this one, which is quite pretty. It's fully lined, of course, with a pocket inside, and it has an inside tab, and it's a drawstring. There you go. And it's quite roomy. I think it looks roomier than it actually is. I mean, you could get a small shawl. You could get a shawl project in here, a small jumper, and it's got room to put all your bits and pieces in. And this one is an African print. I love using African prints. They're so versatile. There's that one. It's quite bright. And inside it has a lovely lining depicting scissors and pins. I don't know if you can see the pins. And it's a little bit floral as well. And of course it has a pocket and an inside tab. And that is drawstring as well. So again, you can hold, I would say you could hold a small jumper or a shawl, and there's its twin. So those will be going up in my Etsy shop when I get the time. I haven't updated it as yet, but I will be doing so fairly shortly. Also, told you I've been busy. I made a bag because I've got loads of bags, but I always seem to need a new one. So I made this one with some leftover fabric that I had. It's not very deep, but it's deep enough for me. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second part of this podcast. The reason I look a little bit different, I'm wearing a different hat, probably got new makeup on or something, is because I accidentally turned off the recording of the last video because I was trying to adjust the phone, and of course I switched off the recording. Unbeknown to me, I was looking at I was looking back at the recording that I thought I did and found that I only had 11 minutes and 2 seconds, whereas I thought I had at least half an hour. So I do apologise for that. I also apologise for the microphone, that horrible rushing white noise. And that's because I was brushing my hand against it and I didn't realise. So I do apologise. I know how very irritating that can be. So I'm just going to carry on from what I was doing before. I really do apologise, but this is what you get. You know, you're lucky you're not paying for this, right? You're in the cheap seats, so, you know, it is what it is. For now, I promise I will get better. Okay, so carrying on from the last bit, I was showing you a tote bag that I'd made. And this is it. And I think I was showing you the lining. And there's an inside pocket. And it's across the body straps. And I think I was trying to show you how comfortable it was to wear. I know you can't quite see that, but it does fit across my body. So I'm actually quite happy with it, but I don't think you can see it very well. Oh dear. So anyway, that's that tote bag. I actually do have quite a few bits and pieces to show today. This is a hat that I did ages ago. I think it's called the Atherton Hat, and it's by Jane Lithgow of Probably Jane, and she's on Instagram. So this is a lovely little hat that I often wear, and I'm actually wearing it today because my hair needs doing. It really needs washing, and you don't need to see that. I don't need to see it. So yeah, that's why I'm wearing this. But it is a nice little hat and I wear it quite often. I'm still wearing my Pseudo knit and slide, and I think last time I wanted to show you what the original looked like, but I didn't have the book, but I've got it now. So this is the original. You see, I've just missed off this last bit here. I don't know if you can, oh, that's better. Yeah, I've missed off this bit, which is a lovely lacy bit, and I just did all of this. And as I say, I ended with a picot edge. So that was that one. In between the days when I wasn't recording this podcast, I was trying to think, how can I finish it? How can I make this better? I did a pair of mittens, and these are by Julia Reddy of Woodfolk Patterns, and it's a paid for pattern. And these are the originals. Really quick, really easy. I haven't blocked them yet, but honestly, they're so quick. And I did these on the bus on my commute to work, so I'm really happy with them. The yarn is, I can't remember what the yarn is, but I got it from Perth in 2018, and it's undyed yarn, but well, it's dyed now. I dyed the yarn out of onion skins, and I thought the onion skins, which were red, I thought it was going to give me this lovely maroony, winey colour, but it didn't. It gave me brown onion skins instead. So hey ho, I'm quite pleased with them. I've used the yarn double just to bulk it up really. I think it's a fingering weight. I think it's a fingering to DK in between, but I used it double. And this red, the Fair Eye bit, is Let's Slopey yarn that I had some left over from a previous project. So yeah, my little mittens there, which are lovely. What else did I have to show you? I have to look on my notes because otherwise I'll just forget. So one of the things I was talking to you in the first podcast, the very first one, was the flax jumper. Now, that jumper was causing me a little bit of a headache. I don't know why. It's very simple. It's a jumper that I would definitely recommend for a beginner, because it teaches you how to split for the sleeves and carry on with the body and then go back to the sleeves. And you know, it was really simple, and actually it was a joy to do. So I can now say that I have actually finished my flax jumper. Yay! And here she is. The fit is really nice. It's really beautifully fitting. It's a bit puckery here because I haven't blocked it. I've just worn it really. I was concerned about the raglans. I thought that I'd completely made this into a disaster. But in actual fact, it really isn't that bad. Look at the back. You see the raglans on the back? I'm not sure if you can see that. Again, it's a really nice fit at the neck. I love the neckline. Not sure how much you can see that, but it does fit really well. The sleeves with the garter panel running down the side, that fits really well. I love the length of the sleeves. I actually, when I cast it off the waistband, it was a bit too tight, so I undid it. I ripped it back a little bit and then redid the waist, the ribbing, and it now fits very well. So I'm really pleased with that. You can see on one side that the raglan didn't come out quite as it should have done, and it's this side. But you know, I'm not going to beat myself up too much about it. It fits. When I block it, I think it will be even better. The yarn is, again, yarn that I purchased from one of the yarn shows, and I think it was either Fibre East, the last one I went to, or it was either EYF or Edinburgh Yarn Festival or Perth, and I have a feeling that it was Perth. It may have been Fibre East, but I think it was Perth. Anyway, the yarn is, again, it was unmarked, unlabelled, so I don't really know what it was, but I think it was a DK, because I used a size 4mm needle for the ribbing and a 5 for the body. So I think it's a DK. And the yarn itself is, I'm not sure, I don't think it might be blue face. No, I can't remember what the yarn is, but all I know is it's wool, pure wool. It's not very itchy at all, and it was undyed yarn. So this is yarn that I dyed myself, and I dyed it with avocado pips and skins. And I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of doing its own fade. It's like this kind of a very subtle striping, and then it gets lighter as it comes up the top. I don't think it shows up very well on this. And it's a very kind of, it's like a dirty pink, a sludgy pink, which is, I quite like that colour. Again, I don't think it shows up very well on here, but you get the idea. So yeah, that is my flax jumper, and I'm very, very pleased with it. So, and yes, I would make another one, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who's starting out on sweater making. I'm sorry I keep twisting, but I'm just trying to make myself comfortable, which I'm not doing very well. So yeah, that was that. That's my makes. I don't have anything else at the minute. I do have a couple of whips. I've got 2 pairs of socks on the go, but I haven't touched them because I was doing this, and then I got caught up with my mitts. So I'm going to have to get hold of my socks and continue on with those. One of them you have to do a tubular cast on. I have to say, although I really like the look of it, it is a bit of a faff. So I don't know. I am going to do it because it's one of the things I want to do, but I can see it's going to be a faff, but I will do it. What else have I got? What else? I don't have any other knits on the way, which is really unusual for me. I usually have something on the needles, but I don't. So yeah, I don't have any more knitting. However, I did want to chat about knitting as a whole, in as much as starting to knit, and whether it's a cheap hobby. Now, this was a question that one of my work colleagues asked me, and said, you know, is it cheap to do knitting? Is it cheaper to knit a jumper? I think that very much depends. I think knitting, the hobby, can be as expensive as you want it to be, and I think it can be as affordable as you want it to be. But I think you just have to know where to look and just who to ask, and where to source your products as well, where to source your yarn, needles, that sort of thing. So I have made a little list of places to source material if you were thinking of taking up knitting. And they're now, I can't remember what the percentage is, but knitting is one of the biggest hobbies that people have started during this COVID pandemic. So it just goes to show that knitting is in a big, I mean, I think in the last 10 years there's been such a revival, but I think there's a new resurgence because of lockdown. People want something to do. If you can't get out into the garden, then you can sit down in a corner and learn to knit. And there are so many tutorials on YouTube. Really, there's kind of like no excuse, is there? Anyway, so I've made this list of how or where you can source your yarn and needles to start you off on the road to knitting. The first one that springs to mind is a charity shop. Now, I am the queen of charity shops. I love a charity shop crawl. And most Saturdays, when the charity shops are open, you will find me delving into a basket of some kind of treasure in a charity shop. And that's a really good place to find yarn. There's often a little basket. Sometimes there's not a lot, but sometimes there's a huge amount, you'd be surprised, of yarn. And if you don't see it, you can always ask the assistant, and also ask if they've got any needles as well. If you don't want to buy any needles, purchase them from a shop or anything. Not shop, you know what I mean. Go to one of these shops. They don't usually have them out on display for health and safety reasons, but if you ask, they will normally have a store of needles in the back of the shop. So charity shops, really good place to source yarn. I mean, I've bought yarn from charity shops before, and it's always a treasure and a pleasure. Another place to source yarn are free sites like Gumtree, or I think there's one called Free Cycle. Just go into the wanted section and ask if anyone's got some yarn that they don't want. Very often people who have passed away and relatives are doing a house clearance might sometimes come across a bag of yarn. You never know. So that's another source. Free cycle sites, really good source. Another place to get cheap yarn, and it's not necessarily cheap yarn as in quality, but if you go to Ravelry D-stashes, or when we're allowed, if you go to Knit Night D-stashes, there's usually really good selection of yarn, and it may even be pure wool, because us knitters, we have so much, and sometimes it's nice to give things away. Sometimes it might be free, sometimes it may be that a small monetary offering is asked for, but that's another way that you can source yarn. Another way is if you look in some of the stores like Lidl's, Aldi, they sometimes have yarn. Now, I've never bought any from Aldi. I have bought from Lidl's. I don't do it very often, but now and again you will see like a pack of yarn, and it's really nothing. It's very, very affordable. Another obvious place is the pound stores. They always have a little section and they've got yarn, and I have bought yarn from there, and I've made like a big thick blanket, like a throw, because they were selling chunky yarn, and I think they were doing it 3 for 2. And even now they still have yarn. It's acrylic, it's not going to be your indie dyed yarn, but if you just want to get started and you don't want to put out an enormous outlay, then that's another source where you can buy some cheap yarn. And also check out some commercial companies that do affordable yarn. Places like King Cole, Stylecraft, Sirdar, Payton's, they all do affordable yarn. I mean, there are loads of other commercial companies that do so as well, but it's just another source to look for. Where else? And also, another place that you can find yarn is Tiger. You know, the Danish gift shops that are all over the place, they often sell yarn. I've even picked up some really nice yarn bowls from there and some needles, so they cater for knitters as well. I think that's about it. And also look for own brands. John Lewis do their own brand of yarn, quite affordable, and it's decent quality as well. So I think that's it. I will list all the places that I think are good to source yarn. I think that's that. So yes, you can start knitting, and it doesn't have to be horrendously expensive, because let's face it, not everybody has the budget to pay what, £20 a skein, £20 for a skein of indie dyed yarn. I mean, I don't always have that budget, but when I do splurge. It's my hobby. So yeah, I think knitting can be as affordable or as expensive as you want it to be. However, please, we must support all our indie yarn dyers and spinners, and also support your LYS, your local yarn store, most important, especially at these times. I really miss knit nights. I do. I miss having a natter with all the, you know, with a little group of people, and you're all looking at what everyone else is doing and chatting about the latest yarn and having a look at all the yarn that's come out, and oh gosh, having a squidge. I do miss a squidge. Anyway, I'm sure we'll be back there, but don't know about this year. But next year, I think we'll be able to go out and squidge again. Can't wait for the squidge. Okay, so what else have I got to natter on about? I had a really nice birthday, but I think I told you that before. I did have my steak. Oh my God, it was gorgeous. And my red velvet cake and the pancakes, they were gorgeous. I might try and put a picture of my pancakes. I really like that. I did that. I think, no, it's not it. I know I was gonna talk to you about. Talking about charity, another good place to find charity craft books. Now, I have noticed that it's not so easy to find craft books, knitting books in charity shops as it once was, because I think everybody's got on the bandwagon now, and when you see these books, they're going for ridiculously amounts, you know, really cheap, and so people just snap them up. But I have found some goodies. So these two books, quite hefty books. These two books, the Celtic Collection by Alice Starmore and Sweaters for Men by Alice Starmore. Both classic books, both found in a charity store for literally a couple of quid. I mean, honestly, I usually keep the price tags on because, yeah, this one was £3. You see the price there. That one was £3 and this one was £2.99. So you can find really good classic treasures in charity shops. I don't know what it's like now because obviously we can't go into them because they're all shut. But it's worth having a look. It really is. there are two other books that I've got. I have to admit that I do get a lot of books, and I do get a lot of craft books. I'm not going to even show you the shelf there. I mean, it's just packed. But, you know, what can you do? So one of the books that I got just before Christmas was by Mina Philipp, Cowls. This book is fantastic. She goes through, it's really a source book, but it's also a workbook as well, because she tells you how to do cowls that have been inspired by her native Persia. She's inspired by the designs on Persian carpets, and she's incorporated some designs into her work here. But she shows you how to do cowls on any gauge, any weight of yarn. So it's a really lovely book. And she's got her members of her family to model some of the designs. Here's a gallery of what you can expect. You see that? They're gorgeous. On the back of the book is her little daughter modelling a cowl. She's quite big, isn't it? And she's got a really sweet face. I think that might be her brother modelling one. This one is her mum is modelling that one. She's lovely. And I think she's got her husband as well to model. So it's a really good book. It's her first book that she's brought out, I think. And it's just very interesting. And she tells you all about the different constructions as well. So yeah, I'm really loving this book. There's her hubby looking cozy in that one. So yeah, could recommend that. This other book, oh, this is lovely. This was gifted to me by my good friend Jenny, who is Miss Guna BLM on Instagram. Another fine knitter she is. Look at that. Sorry, forgot to show you the book. It's Evolution by Susan Crawford. And it's fab. It really is. Look at that shawl. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely love it. I love this cardigan. It's vintagey and cozy, and I love the motifs on it. Love it. What else do I like? Oh, there's that shawl again. Oh, look at that. I want to do a shawl, but I don't know which one. I've got so many shawl patterns, and I love this. I don't know if you can see these socks. I don't know if they're going to show up. They are gorgeous. So I want to make some of those. And I love this one as well. It's like almost like a 3/4 sleeve top. The thing is with these patterns is you can leave out as much as you want. So if you really didn't want it all the way down, you could perhaps do a few rows, make that into a yoke, couldn't you? And leave the rest plain. I just love these patterns so much. So yeah, this is Evolution by Susan Crawford. Highly recommended. Now that really is all I don't have anything else, I don't think. I've talked about the Cowls and the books you can get on going to charity shop. Yeah, I think that's it. Again, if you've watched this to the end, thank you. I cannot thank you enough, because I realised that it's still not right. I mean, okay, this is only the second time I've done this, but I want it to be flowing and easy, and, you know, we have a laugh. And I don't know how much of a laugh you're having, probably at me, but, you know, I do want this podcast to bring some joy and some lightness, because we need that. Anyway, next week I shall be hopefully casting on something else. Don't know what to do. If you make any comments, give me some ideas as to what I could be casting on next, whether it's a jumper. I would like to do a jumper actually, or a cardigan. I would like to do another garment. I certainly would like to do another shawl. Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to see. Anyway, as I say, if you have lasted this far, thank you very much. If you like what you see, if you're amused by what you see, please like and subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'd like to know what you're knitting, what you like to knit, what's your favourite cast on, how has your lockdown knitting been. Just put a comment down below, and I will try to do a decent description box as well. Okay, so that's it for now. I will see you next week. I would like to do a jumper actually, or a cardigan. I would like to do another garment. I certainly would like to do another shawl. Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to see. Anyway, as I say, if you have lasted this far, thank you very much. If you like what you see, if you're amused by what you see, please like and subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'd like to know what you're knitting, what you like to knit, what's your favourite cast on, how has your lockdown knitting been. Just put a comment down below, and I will try to do a decent description box as well. Okay, so that's it for now. I will see you next week.